A hotel manager banned Karoline Leavitt's fundraiser in the lavish lobby of the Grand Sapphire in Washington, D.C. But Leavitt's sharp response sparked the debate that changed everything in just minutes. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. Karoline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary at 27, entered the hotel. Her vibrant red dress standing out among her entourage, ready for a crucial fundraiser to promote an initiative protecting American families from illegal immigration. The hotel lobby buzzed with VIPs, reporters, and staff. But all eyes turned to Leavitt as she approached the front desk, expecting a perfectly prepared event. She was there to rally support for border security policy, a fiery topic sparking debates nationwide. But before she could inquire about the banquet room, the hotel manager, Clara Beaumont, stepped forward with a stern expression, clipboard in hand, and delivered a shocking statement that stopped Leavitt in her tracks. "Miss Leavitt, your fundraiser is officially canceled. The hotel will not allow it." The Grand Sapphire's lobby in Washington, D.C. felt like the air had been sucked out as Clara Beaumont's words cut through, sharp as a blade. The decision to ban Karoline Leavitt's fundraiser plunged the opulent space into silence, broken only by the faint chants of protesters outside the glass doors. Guests stopped talking, their eyes glued to the center of the storm. Reporters scrambled to capture the tense moment. The shouts against tough immigration policies from the crowd outside added fuel to the charged atmosphere. Clara, gripping her clipboard tightly, stood firm like a fortress. But Karoline Leavitt, in her blazing red dress, didn't flinch. Leavitt spoke, her voice steely and commanding. "Clara, are you sure you want to do this? You're blocking a fundraiser to protect American families from the dangers of open borders. This is about national security, about our children. Whose side are you on?" Her words were sharp, honed from countless media showdowns. She stepped forward, her heels clicking decisively. On the marble floor, her gaze locked on Clara. Clara responded, her voice calm but icy. "Miss Leavitt, this hotel bans all political events. We've paid a steep price, panicked guests, plummeting revenue because of fundraisers like yours. I put guest safety first, not your agenda." She tapped her clipboard lightly, emphasizing the ironclad rule. Some guests nodded, agreeing with her security concerns, while others whispered support for Leavitt, creating a mixed wave of murmurs. Leavitt smiled, her eyes flashing with defiance. "Safety, Clara. Do you know what's more dangerous? Abandoning the American people. The numbers don't lie. Border crime is up 15% in key states just this past year. Families are begging for help. This fundraiser is the solution, not the problem." She spread her arms, gesturing to the crowd. "The people here want action, not avoidance." Clara crossed her arms, her face hardening. "Miss Leavitt, I don't need a lecture. I run a business, not a campaign stage. Your initiative is controversial. Look at the crowd out there. They're protesting your immigration policies. I won't let this hotel become a hub of chaos." She pointed to the doors where protest signs swayed. The demonstrators, furious at policies they deemed unjust, chanted slogans against Leavitt and the Trump administration. They saw the initiative as an attack on immigration rights, igniting a citywide wave of opposition. Leavitt tilted her head, her voice low but powerful. "Chaos, Clara. I faced worse, from newsrooms to social media firestorms. A few signs don't scare me." The crowd chuckled, tension easing for a moment. She stepped closer, her voice almost a whisper, but resonant. "This isn't just a hotel. This is a fight for Americans. You're standing in their way." Applause erupted, and one guest shouted, "She's right." Tony, the young receptionist behind the desk, watched Leavitt with shining eyes, quietly clapping until Clara's warning glance made him stop, his hand trembling as he held his pen. Another reporter raised a phone, tweeting, "Leavitt's turning this lobby into a media battlefield. Can't look away." Crowd grew with guests from the bar area pouring in, drawn by Leavitt's energy. A middle-aged woman clutching a designer purse whispered to her friend, "She's right about the border. I'm with her." The lobby crackled with electricity, Leavitt at its core. Clara gripped her clipboard tighter, her voice firm. "You don't call the shots here. This is private property. I have the right to ban you, and I am banning you. Keep going and I'll call security." Her words were resolute, but her eyes flickered. with uncertainty as the crowd leaned toward Leavitt. A nearby security guard hesitated, hand on his radio, unsure of what to do. The static crackle of the radio added to the chaotic atmosphere. Leavitt didn't waver, her smile brimming with confidence. "Security, Clara. I represent millions who want to protect this country. You think a few guards scare me? I faced entire media. Panels at 25. The crowd roared, laughter mixing with cheers. She turned to the audience, her voice resounding. "This fundraiser is for you, for your children. If this hotel refuses, we'll take this voice out there." The lobby shook with cheers, phone lights flashing. A reporter posted, "Leavitt is making history." Clara Ara stepped forward, her voice sharp. "Go outside then, not here. My guests need peace, not your drama." She pointed to a family near the staircase. The mother clutching her child, eyes anxious amid the scene. The child, about 5, held her mother's hand, staring at Leavitt in confusion. Leavitt looked at the family, her voice softening. "That mother needs to know her child is safe. Clara, that's why I'm fighting. Uncontrolled borders threaten them, and your rules are enabling that." She turned back to Clara, her voice firm. "You want to play gatekeeper, your call. But I'll make sure every news outlet, every social media post knows you chose to stand on the sidelines." Clara snapped back. "You're threatening me. The law protects me. Private businesses can refuse, and I'm refusing you." She signaled the security guard, but he hesitated, pressured by the crowd. The radio's static buzz added to the chaotic atmosphere. A guest in a navy suit whispered to his companion, "She's winning. Clara doesn't stand a chance." Leavitt stood tall, her eyes unyielding. "The law? I have the best legal team in the country. We'll drag this hotel to court if needed, but I'm giving you a chance. Stand with Americans or against them." She paused, letting her words sink in. The crowd edged closer, some chanting, "Leavitt, Leavitt." Tony, unable to hold back, clapped softly, earning a scorching glare from Clara. Another reporter near the bar tweeted, "Leavitt's turning drama into victory. She won't stop." Clara stepped back, her authority wavering. "This is over, Miss Leavitt. Leave, or I'll make you leave." Her voice remained firm, but her eyes scanned the growing crowd now spilling from the bar into the lobby. The atmosphere was electric with Leavitt at its core. Leavitt shook her head, her smile radiant. "Over, Clara. This is just the beginning. You lit the spark, and I'm the flame." She raised her hand, rallying the crowd. "Who's with me? Who's ready for America?" The lobby erupted, applause thundering, phone lights blazing. Leavitt, standing in the spotlight, her red dress blazing like a symbol of victory, had just ignited a fire of passion with her call to fight for America. But as the chandelier's light illuminated her confident face, a new concern emerged, not from Clara, but from her own inner circle, pulling her into another challenge. Jake Carter, Leavitt's 24-year-old assistant, weaved through the crowd, his face tense. In a light gray shirt and round glasses, Jake was the quintessential Gen Z, always obsessed with social media trends. He pulled Leavitt to a corner near the front desk, where the scent of luxury perfume mingled with the clink of wine glasses. "Karoline, we need to stop now," he said, his voice low but urgent. "Emma Brooks just live-streamed this on social media, and it's hit 600,000 views. The comments are split. Half are praising you, but the other half are calling you a troublemaker. If you keep going, this drama will destroy us." Leavitt looked at Jake, her eyes sharp but calm. "Jake, relax. This isn't drama, this is my stage." Her voice was steady, exuding the confidence of someone used to facing pressure. She placed a hand on his shoulder like a guide. "Social media is always noisy. I've weathered bigger storms than this. We don't retreat. We shape the narrative." Jake shook his head, his fingers swiping rapidly on his phone. "You don't get it, do you? If this clip gets edited, they'll paint you as bullying Clara. We need to leave. Find another venue." Jake sighed, still scrolling, the screen lighting up with new comments. Leavitt's a legend, but can she outlast Clara? He frowned, his voice dropping. "Karoline, Emma Brooks just posted another clip of you threatening to sue the hotel. Some are saying you're abusing your power. If you don't control this, the media will tear you apart." Leavitt gave a slight smile, not mocking, but confident. The kind of a seasoned fighter abusing power. "Jake, I'm the White House press secretary. I know how to spin the media. Emma wants views. I'll give her the story of a lifetime. At that moment, Emma Brooks, a freelance reporter with blonde hair tied high, approached, phone raised for her live stream. "Miss Leavitt," Emma called, her voice firm. "Your immigration policies are accused of dividing communities. What do you say to the protesters out there who think you're hurting legal immigrants?" The nearby crowd stirred, some raising phones to record. Jake paused, whispering, "Don't answer, Karoline. She's setting a trap." But Leavitt stepped forward, facing Emma, her eyes unwavering. "Emma, I'm not dividing anyone. I'm protecting Americans. The protesters have a right to speak, but they don't see the pain of families who've lost loved ones to immigrant crime. Last year, 12,000 children were indirectly affected by those incidents. I'm here for those kids, for the parents who want their children to grow up safe." Her words were sincere, blending data and emotion, striking a chord with the audience. A middle-aged man in the crowd nodded, whispering to his wife, "She's right." Scattered applause broke out, making Jake exhale, though still anxious. "You dodged that one," he muttered, checking cyberspace. The Karoline Leavitt lobby clash had climbed to the top 5 with positive comments dominating. "She's fearless," but Jake remained uneasy. "Karoline, if you keep going, Clara will actually call security. And, if they kick us out, that video will ruin everything." Leavitt looked at Jake, her eyes both resolute and warm. "Jake, I don't build my image by running. I build it with the truth. Clara wants to play big. I'll play bigger." Meanwhile, Tony, the young receptionist, still stood behind the desk, his eyes glued to Leavitt. He secretly texted a friend. "She's a superstar. Clara doesn't stand a chance." But Clara's stern glance made Tony quickly hide his phone, his heart pounding. A nearby reporter in a leather jacket tweeted, "Leavitt just turned a trap question into a media win. She knows how to play." The crowd grew larger, guests from the main lobby pouring in, drawn by Leavitt's energy. Richard Conway, a powerful donor to the Trump administration, emerged from the crowd. His expensive silver-gray suit hugged his tall frame, his salt and pepper hair neatly combed, exuding the aura of a man used to giving orders. Conway, a real estate mogul who'd funneled millions into border security campaigns, approached with steady steps. "Clara Ara," he called, his voice deep but sharp as a razor. "I need to speak with you now." The crowd parted, eyes fixed on him. Clara Ara, standing near the front desk with her clipboard, flinched slightly, her face showing tension under the glittering lights. Leavitt turned, her eyes curious but undimemed by confidence. Conway looked at her, giving a slight nod as a sign of alliance, then turned to Clara. "This hotel receives funding from my Foundation for Community Events. Banning Miss Leavitt's fundraiser is a grave mistake. I can pull every cent of my investment, and you know what that means." His words were cold, a calculated blow. The crowd stirred. A man in a leather jacket whispering to his friend, "Conway doesn't mess around." Tony, the young receptionist behind the desk, eyes wide, secretly texted his friend. "Conway just entered the game. Clara Ara's done." Clara Ara took a deep breath, trying to stay composed, but her hand gripped the clipboard so tightly, her knuckles turned white. "Mr. Conway, this isn't about money," she said, her voice firm, but slightly shaky. "The hotel has a clear policy, no political events. I'm doing this to protect our guests, not to oppose Miss Leavitt." But her eyes flickered as if facing an opponent out of her league. Conway raised an eyebrow, his voice cutting. "Protect or cover up? I've heard the hotel's leadership was pressured by an activist group opposing immigration policies. Is that true?" Conway's question silenced the lobby, leaving only the faint buzz of a nearby security guard's radio. Leavitt, standing a few steps away, seized the moment. "Is that so, Clara?" she asked, her voice soft but sharp as an arrow. "Who's behind this policy? An anti-Trump group? How much did they pay you to block me?" The crowd erupted. A reporter near the bar tweeting, "Leavitt and Conway just landed a heavy blow." Clara's cornered. Emma Brooks, still live streaming, zoomed in, commenting, "Is there a real conspiracy? This drama's exploding." A middle-aged woman in the crowd holding a glass of wine whispered to her friend, "I bet there's something shady going on." Clara Ara stepped back, her eyes scanning the crowd as if searching for an escape. "No one paid me," she said, her voice higher than usual, betraying her stress. "But I won't pretend. The immigration policies you support have hurt my family. My niece, a child born in America, was deported due to a system error. Do you know that pain?" Her words trembled, revealing raw emotion for the first time. The crowd fell silent, some showing sympathy. An elderly man nearby, leaning on a cane, nodded slowly. "She's got her own story." Leavitt stood still, her eyes softening briefly. She understood personal pain. It had driven her own fight. "Clara," she said, her voice low but sincere. "I'm sorry about your niece, truly, but it's the broken immigration system that caused those mistakes. This fundraiser isn't against legal immigrants. It's against criminals exploiting our borders. I've seen a high school friend lose her brother to immigrant violence. I'm here so no one else feels that pain." Her words struck a chord, prompting nods from some guests. Tony behind the desk discreetly wiped his eyes, moved by Leavitt's story. "DeConway," cut in his voice steely, "Clarara emotions don't justify blocking a national mission. If this hotel doesn't reconsider, I'll pull all my investments, and trust me, your partners won't be happy." His words landed like a blow, making Clara pale. A nearby security guard, hand on his radio, looked to Clara for orders, but she didn't respond, trapped in a whirlwind of pressure. Just then, Tony accidentally knocked over a stack of papers behind the desk. He bent to pick them up, but Leavitt caught him muttering, "This policy was rushed. It didn't even exist yesterday." Leavitt latched onto his words, her eyes lighting up. "Rushed, Tony," she asked loud enough for the crowd to hear. "Who pressured the hotel to enforce this policy? Was it a group opposing our policies?" Tony flushed, stammering, I don't know. Mislead it." Clara spun around, her glare practically burning Tony. "Be quiet, Tony," she snapped, but the panic in her voice fueled the crowd's murmurs. "Leavitt, step forward," her voice calm but commanding. "Clara, if this is a conspiracy, I'll find out. I have the best team and we won't stop until the truth is exposed." She turned to the crowd, her voice ringing. "Who here wants the truth? Who wants a safe America?" The cheers exploded, phone lights flashing. Emma tweeted, "Leavitt just pushed the drama to its peak. She's in control." Clara, now standing alone in the lobby, her eyes betraying helplessness. "There's no conspiracy," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. The crowd had swung firmly to Leavitt, swept up by her energy and arguments. Conway crossed his arms, his gaze icy. "You have one day to reconsider, Clara. Don't make me act." He turned to Leavitt, nodding. Miss Seepy said, "Sure, leave it. Keep going. We're behind you." As pressure from social media and the crowd mounted, Clara, her face tense, made an unexpected offer. "Miss, leave it. We need to talk privately," she said, her voice low but resolute. "Meeting room now." Leavitt nodded, her eyes confident, ready to turn this closed-door meeting into another victory. Leavitt followed Clara into a small meeting room off the lobby. The space was quiet with a long wooden table and dim light from wall sconces, a stark contrast to the chaos outside. Jake Carter, Leight's assistant, slipped in silently, his phone still buzzing with notifications. Clara closed the door, the click sounding like a full stop to the lobby's public spectacle. She stood at the head of the table, setting her clipboard, down with a soft thud. "Miss, leave it," Clara began, her voice calm but sharp. "Your immigration policies aren't just controversial, they're cruel. They tear families apart like my niece's. You can stand out there and give speeches, but you don't understand the real cost of what you're pushing." Leavitt sat down, her posture straight, her eyes fixed on Clara. "Clara, I understand your pain more than you think," she replied, her voice low but weighty. "You're wrong to call these policies cruel. They protect American families threatened by immigrant crime. I've seen a high school friend lose a loved one to border violence. It's the lax immigration system that lets dangerous people slip through. This fundraiser is about fixing that system, not destroying families." Her words were sincere, blending emotion and logic, leaving Clara momentarily silent. Clara crossed her arms, her eyes flashing with anger. "Fixing. You call deporting innocent people. Fixing. My niece was taken away over a paperwork error. Do you know how that shattered my family? Her voice trembled, but she fought to stay composed, her hands gripping the table's edge. You stand here talking about security, but you don't see the real people getting hurt. Your policies aren't the solution. They're the problem. A beam from the wall sconce lit Clara's face, highlighting the strain in her eyes. Leavitt leaned forward, her voice gentle but resolute. Clara, I don't deny the system's mistakes, but ignoring border security will only create more tragedies. Last year, 15,000 crimes in border states were linked to illegal immigration. Those numbers represent hurt families, ruined lives. I'm fighting so no one has to endure the pain you or I have seen. She paused, her eyes sincere. This fundraiser supports programs to fix the immigration system, ensuring fairness for both Americans and legal immigrants. By banning it, you're blocking the very solution you want. Clara shook her head, her voice bitter. Nice words, but I don't buy it. I've heard the hotel's policy was influenced by anti-Trump groups, right? You think I'm bought off, but I'm just doing what's right for the hotel and its guests. Her voice lacked conviction, as if she were questioning her own decision. Jake near the door discreetly checked his phone, his eyes widening at a notification. From Emma Brooks. Leavitt and Clara in a closed room. Secret deal. Leavitt seized the opening. Her voice sharp but controlled. Clara, if no one's behind this, why was the policy rushed? Tony said it didn't even exist yesterday. Who pressured the hotel's leadership? An anti-policy group or higher up? She stood pacing slowly around the table, her eyes never leaving Clara. I have the best investigative team. If there's a conspiracy, we'll uncover it, and it won't look good for your hotel. Her words were a warning, delivered with the confidence of someone in command. Clara shot up, her hands slapping the table lightly. You dare accuse me? I'm not working for anyone. I just want this hotel safe, not dragged into your political crossfire. But the panic in her voice made Light smile faintly. Clara, if you're innocent, why are you scared? Let me hold this event and we'll prove no one's pulling your strings. Leave. It turned to Jake, signaling. Jake, tell the media team to get ready. If Clara doesn't agree, we'll take this story to every news outlet. Jake nodded, typing quickly on his phone, but his eyes remained anxious. Karoline, Emma's video just hit 2 million views. If we push further, this could spiral out of control. Leavitt looked at him, her voice low. Jake, I've got this. This isn't just a fundraiser, it's a statement. She turned back to Clara, her voice resounding. Clara Ara, you have a chance to stand with Americans. Don't let personal pain cloud what's right. Clara sank into her chair, her eyes clouded as if wrestling internally. You don't understand, she muttered. I'm not against Americans. I just don't want to lose everything. Her voice faded as if confronting a deep fear. Leave it. Sensing the shift, softened her tone. Clara, I'm a mother too. I know the fear of losing. What's precious? But if you ban this event, you're not just risking your reputation. You're missing the chance to do what's right for the country. Leavitt stood tall, her eyes blazing. She knew she was steering the game, but the battle wasn't over. She thought of her son, of her dream for a safe America, and her resolve grew fiercer. Clara, she said, her voice low but commanding. You have 1 hour to decide. Let us hold the event, or we'll take this story public and the whole country will know. Choose. She turned to Jake, signaling to leave. As she stepped out of the meeting room, her eyes alike, she knew the decisive moment had arrived. Not for more negotiation, but to turn this challenge into a powerful statement to the nation. The lobby was now packed, from guests in elegant suits to servers standing silently in the corners. Reporters live-streamed, phone screens twinkling like a sea of stars. Jake Carter, Leavitt's assistant, pushed through the crowd, his face a mix of worry and excitement. Emma Brooks' video just hit 4 million views, he whispered, clutching his buzzing phone. The comments are exploding. People want to know what you'll do, but if you go too far, the media could turn on you. Leavitt smiled, her eyes confident. Jake, they want an answer. I'll give them a moment. They'll never forget, without waiting, for Clara Ara's response. Leavitt strode to the center of the lobby, where a small table held a floral display. With the poise of a seasoned speaker, she climbed onto the table, her high heels steady on the polished wood. The crowd fell silent, phone lights glimmering. Leavitt's voice rang out, powerful yet relatable. Americans, I came here today for a fundraiser for our families, for our nation's security, for our children's future. But this hotel wants to stop me. She paused, her gaze sweeping the crowd, connecting with every face from businessmen in pricey suits to the mother cradling her child in the corner. They think they can silence me. Silence you. They're wrong because I don't stand here alone. I stand with America. The crowd erupted, applause thundering. Tony, unable to hold back, cheered with the others, ignoring Clara's stern glare. Leavitt continued, her voice rising, brimming with emotion. I grew up in New Hampshire in a middle-class family where my parents worked hard to raise my 3 siblings and me. They taught me that America is where you stand up for what's right, no matter how tough it gets. Today, I stand here for families like mine, people who deserve to live safely without fear. A middle-aged woman holding a cocktail shouted, "Karoline, you're right." An older man in a navy suit nodded, whispering to his friend, "She's speaking for us." Leavitt lowered her voice, tapping into deep emotions. I'm a mother. Every night I look at my son and promise him a safe country. I know many of you make those same promises to your kids, your grandkids. This fundraiser is about keeping that promise, ensuring our children grow up in a strong America. A mother in the crowd holding her young child wiped away tears, nodding in empathy. Richard Conway, the major donor, stood near the bar, nodding approvingly. He stepped forward, his voice booming across the lobby. Miss Leavitt, my foundation pledges an additional $2 million to this initiative right here, right now. The crowd exploded, applause nearly shaking the ceiling. A reporter in a leather jacket tweeted, "Conway just raised the stakes. Leavitt's winning big." A woman in a black dress whispered to her friend, "With that money, she'll do more than a fundraiser." Clara, now standing silently in a corner, her eyes vacant, realized she hadn't just lost the argument. She'd lost the crowd and the media. Leavitt pressed on, her voice stronger than ever. Today, this hotel tried to stop us, but they can't stop the spirit of America. We will hold this fundraiser, bigger, stronger, at a venue worthy of our mission. Who stands with me? The crowd roared, her name echoing through the lobby. Leavitt! Leavitt! Tony, unable to contain himself, leapt onto the front desk, clapping wildly as Clara turned away, powerless. Jake, standing near Leavitt, finally smiled, his phone buzzing with messages from the media team. He whispered, "You did it, Karoline. The whole country's watching." Leavitt nodded, her eyes blazing. She looked out at the crowd, seeing faces full of hope, from the mother with her child to the businessman in a suit, and knew she'd turned defeat into a resounding media triumph. Clara tried to speak. "Miss Leavitt, you're ruining my hotel." But no one listened. The crowd belonged to Leavitt. Phone lights, illuminating her like a stage. A guest holding a glass of wine whispered to a friend, "She didn't just win. She's rewriting the rules." Leavitt, standing on the table, raised her hand one last time. "Thank you. Thank you, America. We won't stop for our future, for our children." The cheers erupted, the lobby shaking, and Leavitt stood there unyielding, ready to take this mission to the nation. The crowd, from guests to staff, stood transfixed, eyes brimming with inspiration, phones raised to capture the historic moment. Outside the glass doors, the protesters' chants had weakened, as if drowned by Leavitt's force. She stepped down from the wooden table, her high heels meeting the marble floor with unwavering confidence, ready to leave, but not letting this victory fade. Jake Carter, Leavitt's assistant, stood nearby, his earlier worry replaced by a radiant smile. He handed her his phone, the screen glowing with notifications. "Karoline, you did it," he said, his voice tinged with awe. Leavitt nodded, her eyes sharp. "Jake, this is just the beginning. Call the legal team. We're reviewing this hotel and get Kay McKen. I want the new event twice as big." Jake typed rapidly, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Leavitt moved toward the main entrance, security parting the crowd. A mother in the lobby, cradling her child, called out, "Miss Leavitt, thank you." Leavitt paused, offering a warm smile. "Thank you for our children's future," she replied, her voice sincere. The crowd applauded, phone lights twinkling. Emma Brooks, the freelance reporter still live streaming, tweeted, "Leavitt leaves like a queen. She's changed the game." Outside, Leavitt stepped into a waiting black SUV, streetlights illuminating her face. She sat down, the door closed, and in a moment of quiet, she gazed out the window, her expression pensive. The image of her young son flashed in her mind, his innocent smile the reason she fought. She whispered to herself, "Mommy will keep her promise, son." Her phone buzzed, with a message from Richard Conway. "New event. I'm upping my pledge to 3 million. Keep going, Karoline." She smiled, knowing this victory wasn't just hers, but the mission's. In the lobby, Clara Beaumont stood silent, her eyes vacant. She watched the crowd disperse, overwhelmed by defeat. Her phone buzzed with a message from management. "Clara, emergency meeting. Your decision has major consequences." She gripped her clipboard, her heart heavy. She tried to protect the hotel, but now its reputation and hers teetered. The black SUV carrying Karoline Leavitt pulled away from the hotel, leaving the lavish lobby steeped in the aftermath of a resounding media triumph. The dim streetlights cast a glow on her face, her eyes still burning with resolve. Leavitt's impromptu speech, delivered atop a wooden table amid a fervent crowd, had turned Clara Beaumont's ban into a springboard for her mission to protect American families. She didn't just defeat Clara. She etched her name into the public's heart as a young, resolute, and razor-sharp leader. In the lobby, Clara stood motionless, her clipboard dangling, her eyes heavy with failure. Her decision, once meant to safeguard the hotel, had thrust her into a storm of criticism. Tony, the young receptionist, glanced at her, torn between pity and admiration for Leavitt. On social media, a reporter tweeted, "Leavitt turned drama into victory." Clara and the Grand Sapphire will pay a steep price, but the story wasn't over. Would Leavitt sue the hotel as she threatened? Would there be a bigger record-breaking fundraiser backed by Richard Conway? These questions lingered, fueling heated online discussions. Leavitt from the SUV checked her phone, seeing images of herself on the table spreading across the internet. She smiled, knowing she'd shaped the narrative. As the youngest White House press secretary, she proved she wasn't just the voice of the Trump administration. She was an icon of a generation daring to stand up. "We fight for America, and we always win," she'd once said. And now those words echoed across social media. The story of Karoline Leavitt at the Grand Sapphire Hotel vividly reflects the political polarization and the role of social media in modern American life. Her issues like immigration, border security, and free speech often spark fierce debates. Leavitt, with her impromptu speech on the wooden table, turned Clara Beaumont's ban into a media victory fueled by the crowd's support, donor Richard Conway, and the power of social media. The event, alongside the protests outside and Clara's wavering, showcased the strength of an individual facing pressure and how modern media can shape public narratives. The biggest lesson in a polarized society, steadfastness and personal values paired with savvy media use, can turn adversity into opportunity. In today's America, where debates over immigration or public policy are often divided by ideology, you can apply Leavitt's lesson by standing firm under pressure, as she did against Clara and the protesters. Learn how she used her personal story, her middle-class New Hampshire family, and role as a mother to forge an emotional connection with the audience, rather than relying solely on dry arguments. Moreover, Leavitt's use of Emma Brooks' video and social media to amplify her message reminds us, in the digital age, mastering storytelling on social platforms is key to influence. Whether you support or oppose a view, express it with sincerity and strategy like Leavitt, to turn challenges into opportunities for change. Thank you for joining Karoline Leavitt's media triumph. Hit subscribe to catch the next dramatic story, and see you in the upcoming